Get started in a second. Let a couple more people get in here. Shalom Israel, Yahba Shem Yahushua Barak Thumb to the brothers, Yahweh Shemal Thumb by Shem Yahushua to the sisters. I'm Priest Officer Karan Yala, and this is the Monday night history class on the ISUBK Sacramento page. I believe we streaming on Oakland Israelites page as well. If y'all haven't, make sure y'all go subscribe to the new Northern California ISUBK page called Oakland Israelites. You understand? Tonight we're gonna get into slavery in Egypt. Now, of course, this is widely talked about in the ISUBK, but the world does not necessarily get into the history of what really happened in Egypt. You understand? Who was really in slavery in ancient Egypt? You understand? Christianity has has tricked the world into believing that the Bible is some fairy tale book when the Bible is a history book of a nation of people. You understand? The history, the trials and tribulations, you understand, and future prophecies that shall befall planet Earth with this nation of people being the Israelites to rule the planet Earth forever under their king, Yahweh Shah Mashiach, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, which is a black man from the tribe of Judah. You understand what I'm saying? And we're gonna get into some history today. You understand? Because a lot of people think, like I said, this is a fairy tale book or some type of spooky book. You understand? That has no validity in society or in history in general. You understand? We get. I want to get Ecclesiastes chapter 1 and verse 9. Make sure y'all like, share, subscribe, comment. You understand? All that good stuff. But we gonna get into it today. All right. Well, that's what I wanted. I said Ecclesiastes. Mm, the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 1 and verse 9. The thing that has been, it is that which shall be. And the thing, Salaki, and that which is done is that which shall be done. And there is no new thing under the sun. You understand? Like what happened in the past happened in the future. You understand? It's happening in the present. You understand? Blacks, Latinos, and natives, we was slaves in ancient Egypt. You understand? We lived in projects. You understand? We lived in poverty. The welfare system was thriving in ancient Egypt, just how it is here today in America. Our people were destroyed. We was worked sun up to sundown, just like how you are here in America. You understand? We developed drug addictions and habits, you understand, from being oppressed by another nation, you understand, and being robbed and spoiled, you understand, and being killed unjustly by another nation of people who don't give a damn about us. That happened in ancient Egypt, just like it happened in America, just like it happened throughout every captivity that we went through. You understand? Salakia. Go to Genesis chapter 15 and verse 13. You understand? Because the Bible is, like I said, it's not a spooky book. This is a history book. This is a history of what happened in the past, you understand, and what's going to happen in the future about a certain particular people, you understand, who just happens to be God's chosen people, you understand? Salakia. The book of Genesis, chapter 15 and verse 13. I think that's what I want. Yeah, in verse 13. And he said unto Abram, you understand? This is Abraham before his name was changed to Abraham. You understand? He was called Abram. Note of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs. You understand? Blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians, we are strangers in this land that is not ours. Now, of course, the Native Indians, they came to this land first, you understand, and discovered this land way before Christopher Columbus, a conquistador, you understand, the Jesuit priests, these Quakers, you understand, whatever they wanted to call themselves at any times. Our Native Indian brothers and sisters came over here, leaving after the Assyrian captivity, you understand, not wanting to go back to the land, but wanted to go to somewhere else to be able to keep the commandments without distractions. You understand? These brothers and sisters came over here, you understand, thousands of years before these conquistadors got over here. But this is not their homeland either. You understand? They are from Israel. You understand? They are from the Middle East. Blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians, we come from the most holy and sacred place on planet Earth, the place that's been fought over the most. You understand? The place that's been debated about the most. You understand? The place of the most importance, because this is the land of God, you understand, that he gave to his dear children, the children of Israel, blacks, Latinos, and Native American Indians. You understand? It says, reading on, it says, that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. You understand? This is not just talking about physical Egypt. You understand? This is talking about spiritual Egypt. You understand? This is talking about Rome. This is talking about Greece. This is talking about the Assyrian Empire, the Babylonian Empire. We've been through captivities a numbers of times in these scriptures. You understand? And the reason why we've been through captivities in these scriptures, you understand, and today is because we disobeyed God's laws. You understand? We went against our power by wanting to be just like these other nations. So the Lord sent these other nations against us so they can rule over us unrighteously, unjustly, you understand, vigorously, violently, you understand, and in so many other ways that I can't even describe. You understand? But this is prophesied in the Bible. Matter of fact, Salakia, let me get Deuteronomy 28 and 68. The Deuteronomy 28 and 68 is going to sum up, you understand, what happened in these scriptures. Matter of fact, Salakia, before I get that, I'm going to get Romans 15 and 4. Make sure y'all like, share, subscribe. Y'all got any questions, comments, put it in the chat. Baba Kashad, if y'all could watch the class from YouTube so I can see your chats. If I can't see them on Facebook, you understand? But if you can't get to YouTube and you need to put your questions in on Facebook, then I'll get to them later after the class, and I'll respond to you on Facebook. You understand? Salakia. Romans 15 and 4. For whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning. You understand? Everything that's written in these scriptures was written for blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans to learn from it. You understand? We read about these captivities. We read about our people going against the Lord, you understand, and being punished by the Lord and being sent into captivity to have these other wicked, evil nations to rule over us, you understand? So we can know what not to do. So we can know what we are supposed to do, which is keep these law, statutes, and commandments, you understand? Which was told to us by Moses all the way down from Moses, the prophets in between Moses, all the way up to Christ, you understand, to keep these law, statutes, and commandments. Your Christian pastor is a liar. Your Christian pastor just loves to get money from you, understand? And he don't give a damn about what's going on with his people day in and day out in this empire. He envies his slave master, you understand? And he's going to keep selling you out to the slave master just so he can spend the slave master money and indulge in the same sins as his slave master. You understand? And this is why it's important for us to read these scriptures, because what's written aforetime was for our learning. You understand? Reading on, that we through patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope. You understand? You got like, and this scripture is so heavy, right? If Commanding General Yohana didn't get the spirit of the Lord on him to actually keep this school going, to sacrifice so much to keep this brotherhood alive, we would have no comfort. We would have no patience. You understand? This is why you got so many brothers that's in the ISUBK, and we come from different backgrounds. Some of us used to be drug dealers. Some of us used to be robbers, murderers, pimps. You understand? Some of us used to be in the Christian church. You understand? But because the Lord put the Holy Spirit on us to actually come to figure out what the hell we have to do to correct our people and to have brotherhood for our nation. You understand? We got in here, we read these scriptures, you understand, and now we have patience and comfort in knowing that the Lord's word is not in vain. You understand? Everything that happened to blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians, the Lord is going to pay us back. You understand? For the strife, the hurt, the poverty, everything that these other nations have done to us. It did not please the Lord to put us into captivity up under the rest of these nations that hate the children of Israel. You understand? But at the same time, though, the Lord is a father. You understand? And the Lord being a father, Salakia. And the Lord being a father and a damn good father at that, you understand? Black men, we understand this. Latino men, Native Indian men, we understand this. You understand? If your child get to acting up, you're going to chastise that child. You understand? The scriptures say, spare the rod, spoil the child. You understand? And the Lord is not sparing the rod with the children of Israel. This is why we die from drug addiction. This is why we die in the ghettos. You understand? This is why we get murdered unjustly by racist, crooked police officers. You understand? This is why when we come out and say that we are the children of Israel, the world looks at us crazy because we've been beat down in this empire. You understand? The name of Israel is no more in remembrance. You understand? And this is the Lord chastising the children of Israel for us going against his law, statutes, and commandments. You understand? But the Lord got mercy on the children of Israel. This is why the ISUBK exists. You understand? This is why we hold Passovers. Man, big shout out to Commander General Yana. The Lord's 54th annual Passover this April 1st, down there in North Carolina. You understand? So like I think it's Raylan or Rylan. I can't pronounce it, but you understand? We've been chosen by the Lord to come back. You understand? To our law, statutes, and commandments, to our culture, to loving our people. The Lord has severed us away from Egypt. You understand? Spiritual Egypt, spiritual Sodom. You understand? Spiritual Babylon. You understand? And this is why we have patience. This is why we have comfort through these scriptures. You understand? But if we didn't know about these scriptures, if we didn't know that our people suffered the same slavery that we did back in ancient Egypt, if we didn't know about these law, statutes, and commandments that would get us up out of hell, that would get us up out of poverty, then we'd just be out there in the world lost, having no patience for our brother, no comfort, you understand, and just getting high, you understand, out of our goddamn minds, ready to self-destruct. You understand? Barakatah Yahweh Shah for Commander General Yohana, this truth. You understand? The generals, the captains, the officers, the troopers, and the sisters. You understand? And for having mercy on the children of Israel. You understand? But Salakia, for being too long-winded on that one. You understand? Let me get Deuteronomy 28 and 68. Deuteronomy 28 and 68 is one of the most important scriptures that pinpoints who the children of Israel are today. You understand? And the reason why I say that is because it's straight to the point. You understand? It's irrefutable when you read this scripture and you actually understand what these scriptures mean and what this is talking about. You understand? But Salakia, I'm gonna start at Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. Cursed shalt thou be in the city, and cursed shalt thou be in the field. Blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians, we cursed in the cities and in the field. And who was the people that's cursed in the city and in the field? The slaves. You understand? The ones that live in the projects, in them tight slave quarters, you understand, on top of each other, fighting for scraps and crumbs. That's you, Black, Latino, and Native Indian people. That's us. We in these ghettos. You understand? We working from sun up to sundown. You got 2 and 3 hours to get you something to eat and watch a little bit TV before you got to go to sleep and go back to work for your slave master again just to live paycheck to paycheck. That's what happened in ancient Egypt. I'm going to read that. This book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. The word Egypt is a Greek word, you understand, which comes from the word Egyptos, which means bondage or slavery. And the reason why this word Egypt is being used is because when Alexander, the so-called great, he's Alexander the Greek, known to us in the ISUBK, you understand? He parted his kingdom, you understand, because he was the first Edomite to ever rule on planet Earth. This is the first Caucasian man to be a king on planet Earth, you understand? And his empire was the Greek Empire, you understand? And he basically went to war with the Persians, you understand? And after he went to war with the Persians, he had dominion over the whole known world at that time, you understand? And when he died at 32 years old, Alexander only reigned for 12 years. So this was a young Edomite, a young Caucasian man that was very skilled at warfare. You understand? And what he did was he conquered the known world at that time and defeated the superpower at that time, which was the Persian, the Medo-Persian Empire. You understand? And he set himself up to be a king over the whole goddamn planet Earth at that time. You understand? Or the known world at that time. Excuse me. Right? And what happened was when he was on his deathbed, 12 years later, after he conquered the whole goddamn world, you understand, from some god awful disease that the Lord plagued them with, because these Edomites are nasty sodomites. You understand? He parted his kingdom between four of his top generals. You understand? Ptolemy being one of the four top generals. And Ptolemy, he ran down there into ancient Egypt and he decimated them Africans and took over their land. You understand? And took everything from them and became a ruler over Egypt. This is why today, when you see Egyptians today, they look like Arabics. You understand? Because they're a mixture of Arabics and Greeks. You understand? The real ancient Egypts is down there in Sudan somewhere. You understand? The real ancient Egyptians, excuse me, they down there in the Sudan somewhere. You understand? Looking exactly like how they did back in the times of the pharaohs ruling over the children of Israel. Big, tall, long, dark-skinned dudes with elongated heads. They look the exact same right now. They just not in their glory anymore because the Greeks took over their empire, you understand, around, I want to say like 300, 350 BC, around that era. You understand? And when the Greeks took over their empire, they looked at the history and the records of these Africans, and they figured out, okay, these Africans are the first ones to have the children of Israel or the children of God in slavery, in servitude. And this is how they built up their empire, you understand, to be a great empire, to be a superpower over the planet Earth, and to have such a great remembrance, and them being a very respected empire of the days of old. You understand? So they, instead of calling that land by what it was called by already, which was Mizraim or Matazorium in the Hebrew, you understand? This is one of the sons of Ham. They called the place Egypt or Egyptos. You understand? Which means bondage or slavery. Deuteronomy 28 and 68, one more again. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. You understand? If you look at the geographical location of the Middle East and physical Egypt, you don't need no damn boat to go from there and back. We can walk in and out of Egypt today. You understand? But the Lord said he was going to send the children of Israel, if we did not keep these law, statutes, and commandments, back into Egypt or slavery or bondage with ships. Who else jumped off a goddamn boat and went to go serve slavery except for blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians? And I know what you fake Israelites and Christians is thinking. Oh, Latinos didn't go through slavery. You a damn lie if they didn't go through slavery. You understand? Native Indians didn't go through slavery on boats. Yes, they did. As a matter of fact, they went into a hard bondage, hard slavery, you understand, on boats and ships before so-called African Americans, so-called Haitians, so-called Jamaicans. You understand? Look at all of those Latinos down there in Brazil, Mexico. You understand? Chile, Uruguay. You understand? Everywhere through North, Central, and South America. You understand? They all went into slavery after they got off of a boat. The Native Indians that came over here and ruled this land before these Caucasians came over here and colonized everything, they came over here on boats. You understand? So they went into slavery jumping off of a boat way before so-called African Americans, way before so-called Haitians and Jamaicans. You understand? Salakia. By the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more. And when he said, when Moses saying, by the way whereof I'm speaking unto you, he like, around this way where I'm talking to you, y'all not gonna see this no more. And when he was talking to the children of Israel, we was in the Middle East. You understand? Near the homeland that the Lord gave to the children of Israel, you understand, through the hands of Abraham. You understand? He said, look, where I'm talking to y'all at, y'all not gonna see this place no more. You understand? Middle of verse 68. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen. So when you jump off them when you jump off them boats, you understand, you're gonna be on them slave auction blocks, being sold unto your enemies. You understand? The Lord said, Edomites are our enemies. You understand? And if you know anything about the ISUBK and the research and the history that brothers have been doing in here since 1969, you know exactly who the Edomites are. You know exactly who the red man is. You understand? I ain't even got to say it. You know exactly who I'm talking about. You understand? They are your enemies. The same people that bought and sold you in North, Central, and South America, raped your grandparents, you understand? Gave smallpox and all of these God-forsaken diseases to blacks, Latinos, and Native American Indians. The Lord said those are your enemies. You understand? Just like them ancient Egyptians was the enemies to the children of Israel, your enemies are right here ruling over you once again in this God-forsaken place called America, Brazil, Trinidad and Tobago, Haiti, the United Kingdom. You understand? You got brothers out there in the UK that are descendants of royalty out there, but yet you got people that don't look nothing like the people that actually built those castles that they live in. You understand? The queens and kings of all of those European nations, those are not the original kings and queens that those castles and all of that stuff belongs to. You understand? They don't own none of that. You understand? They thieves. They stole it. You understand? And no man shall buy you, meaning no man shall free you. You understand? Speaking of thieves and stealing, you understand? Let's go to Isaiah 42 and 22. The book of Isaiah, chapter 42 and verse 22. But this is a people robbed and spoiled. You understand? We are people robbed and spoiled. They robbed us in ancient Egypt. We don't get into all of that. You understand? They spoiled us. You understand what's spoiled? Spoil is the goods that one nation obtains from another nation after war. You understand? They took everything from the Native Indian brothers. They took everything from our Latino brothers. You understand? They took everything from so-called African Americans, Jamaicans, Haitians, West Indians. You understand? It's ridiculous. You understand? And this is prophesied in the Bible. This is why the ISUBK, Abundant Commanding General Your Honor, we understand these scriptures. You understand? People be thinking, man, them niggas is crazy. Get a job. Oh man, that Israelite stuff is just a phase. No, it's not a phase. This is our lifestyle. We not just niggas, spicks, and wetbacks. You understand? We not just people that's supposed to be up under the feet of our goddamn enemies. We are the Lord's chosen people, and we here to take back what's ours. Our culture and the world that we live in, we are going to rule this. Barakatah Yahweh Yahweh Shah. You understand? Salaki, I'm gonna come back to Isaiah chapter 42 and verse 22. We're gonna get into the scripture. Let's go to the book of Exodus, chapter 1. You understand? I got a couple articles I'm gonna pull out too. The book of Exodus, chapter 1 and verse 1. Start from the top. Now, these are the names of the children of Israel which came into Egypt. Every man in his household came with Jacob: Reuben, Simeon, Levi, and Judah, Issachar, Zebulun, and Benjamin. Excuse me. Dan and Naphtali, Gad and Asher, and all the souls that came out of the loins of Jacob were 70 souls. For Joseph was in Egypt already. You understand? Joseph being sold by his brothers, you understand, to some Arabs, some Ishmaelites, you understand, because they specialize in human trafficking, just like how they do today. You understand? This brother eventually, by having the Lord on his side, rose up to be second in command in the land of Egypt, because the Lord made the land of Egypt prosper in the hands of Joseph. You understand? Because the Lord loved Joseph. The Lord was with Joseph. Joseph has so much integrity. Joseph has so much integrity as a slave in Egypt. You couldn't compare not one person that's a slave in America that has some type of social status. You understand, or is that close to rubbing shoulders with the people that actually run this country. You can't compare none of them to Joseph. You understand? Martin Luther King didn't have the integrity and the courage that Joseph had. You understand? None of Jesse Jackson, LeBron James, none of these Negroes with a whole lot of money that can actually do something. Kanye West, none of these Negroes that can actually do something to galvanize the children of Israel for us to come back to our law, statutes, and commandments. None of them can compare to the integrity that Joseph had. You understand? And Joseph, being a man of integrity and a man of the Lord blessed him to go from a slave, from being in prison, you understand, from living in hellish conditions, to him being the second in charge in Egypt. You understand? And when Joseph became second in charge in Egypt, you understand, this is kind of a long story, but he eventually had his brothers and his father and the rest of his family members moved down into Egypt. You understand? Verse 6, and Joseph died, and all his brethren, and all that generation. And the children of Israel were fruitful, and increased abundantly, and multiplied, and waxed exceeding mighty, and the land was filled with them. So after Joseph and all of the patriarchs of the 12 tribes of Israel died, you understand, as well as Jacob himself, whose name was later changed into Israel, you understand, after they died, our nation got bigger. It got stronger. We had a whole lot of children, you understand? And we became prosperous. You understand? We waxed exceedingly mighty, meaning we got young, strong brothers. You understand? Families is being well taken care of. You understand? We are thriving in Egypt at this time. Verse 8. Now there arose up a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph. And he said unto his people, behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we. Understand? So this new Pharaoh rose up. He didn't know Joseph. You understand? Of course, he didn't physically know him, but just like I ain't never met Benjamin Franklin. I ain't never met none of the so-called founding forefathers of the United States of America. but I know who they are. I've heard the stories. I know the history of them. You understand? I know who President Ronald Reagan was. Ronald Reagan was the president of America before my time. You understand? I'm born in the 90s. The only presidents I know is George Bush Sr., you understand, which he was president when I was a young child, Bill Clinton, you understand, George Bush Jr., and Barack Obama. Uh, um, what's the other devil name? Donald Trump, and this president that we got now, Joe Biden. You understand? That's what about 5, 6 presidents in my life. I don't know Ronald Reagan. I ain't lived through the Reagan era. You understand? But I know how crack cocaine decimated the goddamn ghetto. You understand? I lived through that era. You understand? I seen what happened in the 90s. I seen what happened in the early 2000s. You understand? I seen exactly what the hell went on. You understand? I'm like the last generation of brothers that actually went to the store and spent physical food stamps. Yeah, I've ate government cheese before. You understand? I know exactly what happened during Ronald Reagan's era, but I didn't live in his era. You understand? Ronald Reagan, he wasn't president no more by the time I was alive. You understand? But I do know the history of him. So when this Pharaoh rose up and it say he didn't know Joseph, he just didn't give a damn about what Joseph did for ancient Egypt. He didn't give a damn about what this Hebrew dude did to save his family, to save his nation. You understand? And he said, verse 9 again, and he said unto his people, behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we. He ain't saying we should all come together and be one. He said these Israelite niggas are more and mightier than us. They are better than us. You understand? That's what he said to his own nation of people. You understand? Just like what's going on in these board meetings today. These people have the United Nations meetings. They sit back and congregate and conversate about everything evil that they gonna do to the children of Israel. That's why we ain't got no seat on the goddamn United Nations board. You understand? Because the majority of the meetings is about how they're going to keep oppressing us, how they gonna keep us up under their feet as their slaves, so they can continue to wax rich off us, make money off us, and destroy us, and have us in a messed up state of mind, and keep us in a goddamn ghettos up under their foot. You understand? Verse 10. Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply, and it come to pass that when there falleth out any war, they join also unto our enemies and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land. He said, man, look, come on, man. Let's deal wisely with them. You understand? This that crafty counsel that you can read about in Psalms the 83rd chapter. This is literally a United Egyptians meeting about how they gonna oppress the children of Israel. You understand? Just so we don't prosper over them and become our own people and live better than them and more deliciously than them in their own land, when we are the reason that they land is what it is. Our forefather Joseph, he helped save Egypt and made Egypt the superpower on planet Earth at that time. But that Pharaoh didn't give a damn about that. He didn't care about none of that. He wanted his people to prosper, and he wanted the children of Israel to be slaves to the Egyptians. You understand? Reading on. Therefore, they did set over them taskmasters to afflict them with their burdens, and they built for Pharaoh treasure cities, Pithom and Rameses. You understand? Look, he said taskmasters over us. Same thing that they did in Egypt. You understand? That dude on that big horse, you understand, with the big hat, with the whip, you understand, going up and down the cotton fields, you understand, making sure we out there fulfilling our quota by bringing them all of these goods for no money at all. They feeding us scraps. You understand? We got to wear hand-me-down clothes if you're lucky. You understand? That's exactly what happened in ancient Egypt. When these taskmasters got set over us, you understand? We lived in hellish and tremendous conditions. And I'm gonna get into that in a second too. You understand? Verse 12. But the more they afflicted them, the more the Salaki. I missed a heavy point. And they built for Pharaoh treasure cities, Pithom and Rameses. You understand? A treasure city is a beautiful, nice city where you can make money out of. You understand? That's exactly what the hell was going on in Egypt. That's what's happening today. We built all of these treasure cities for the pharaohs of today. San Francisco, Oakland, Los Angeles, New Orleans. You understand? Philadelphia, New York City. You understand? Miami, Florida, Chicago, Houston, Texas. You understand? All of these big major cities where the slave master can make millions, billions, and trillions of dollars off of the children of Israel. You understand? We built up these cities for you. You understand? We work the menial jobs that keep these cities running. We the ones that's working at the concession stands at these big sports arenas. You understand? We the ones that's working at these gas stations. We work at these fast food places. All your grocery stores. It's blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians for the most part keeping your city, keeping your country intact. You understand? By us working these menial 9 to 5 jobs and living paycheck to paycheck, and y'all are getting billions and trillions of dollars off of God's dear chosen people. You understand? This was exactly what happened back then in ancient Egypt. You understand? We built all of them pyramids. You understand? We raised all the livestock. You understand? We raised like I just read in Deuteronomy 28th, Deuteronomy the 28th chapter and the 16th verse. You understand? Curse shalt thou be in the city and in the field. This is what we doing in the cities and in the field. You understand? We growing all your crops, your fruits and vegetables. Big shout out to the tribe of Issachar. Man, they growing a whole lot. Damn near the majority of the produce that's being sold in these supermarkets, especially in California. Man, you can go to some of these fields and some of these vineyards and see it with your own eyes. You understand? And they selling this fruit and vegetables for dirt cheap. Why? Because these Latino brothers and sisters, they paying them pennies. You understand? We are a people robbed and spoiled. I'm gonna read that again. Therefore, they did set over them taskmasters to afflict them with their burdens, and they built for Pharaoh treasure cities, Pithom and Rameses. Salakia, Pithom and Ramses. But the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew, and they were grieved because of the children of Israel. You understand? They was grieved because of the children of Israel. Just like we built up so much of this damn country, right? But meanwhile, if you see a Edomite couple in a damn grocery store right now, and you just shopping, having a good time with your family, you if you pay attention and look closely at them when they don't think that you're paying attention to them, they gonna give you a dirty look like, man, these niggas, man, like they gonna look at you and it's gonna grieve them that to even see you. You understand? This is why blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians, we get harassed by the police. Excuse me. We get harassed by the police. You understand? This is why you got Karens. You understand? Because it grieves them when they see the children of Israel. They don't want to see you every goddamn day. Let one of you niggas get some money and move into their neighborhood. Oh, it's gonna be you're going to have an issue. You understand? You're gonna have a problem because it grieves them when they see you. They vex to see you with anything, let alone just to see you. You understand? Salakia. And the Egyptians made the children of Israel to serve with rigor. They made us to serve with rigor. That's hard bondage. You understand? That's getting beat. That's getting 40 lashes on your back right here in ancient Egypt. Well, they did that in America as well. You understand? Salakia. And they made their lives bitter with hard bondage in mortar and in brick and in all manner of service in the field. All the service wherein they made them serve was with rigor. You understand? They made us serve with rigor. This is exactly what happened in this empire today. You understand? And like I said before, all of this came about because the children of Israel, we chose to disobey our power. We chose to disobey our God. You understand? Salaki, pull this article. Give y'all a little bit of the actual day-to-day life in Egypt. You understand? Bear with me, Baba Kasha. Life in Egypt. Egypt was said to be the gift of the Nile. Each summer, the Nile flooded and provided water to grow crops. For irrigation, Egyptians used a device called shaduf. It was a seesaw with a leather container at one end, which was filled with water and a counterweight at the other. Now, this sounds like something that a slave would make for himself to make his job easier. You understand? It's like it. When the Nile flooded, it also deposited silt over the land near the banks, which made the land very fertile once the water had subsided. The Nile also provided a way of transporting people and goods. Transporting people and goods. Prevailing winds in Egypt blew south, so boats traveling in that direction used sails. Boats headed north using oars. Let's get into Egyptian society. Ancient Egypt was ruled by a king. By about 1500 BC, he was called a pharaoh. So he was called the pharaoh. From the word por-el, meaning great house. Originally, it meant the palace he lived in, but it came to mean the ruler himself. The pharaoh was assisted by a kind of prime wizard called a vizier. Sometimes there was more than one. Furthermore, for administration, Egypt was divided into areas called nomes. You understand? So your pharaoh back then today is the equivalent of a president today. You understand? And he had advisors back then, just like your presidential advisors today. You understand? Below the pharaoh were the nobility, priests, scribes, and merchants. Then came soldiers and craftsmen, then peasants, and finally slaves. A slave's life was very hard. Ordinary Egyptians who were not slaves also had to work for the pharaoh each year building or mending irrigation canals. Salakia. This was done when the Nile flooded and farm work was impossible. Farmers also had to pay part of their crops to the pharaoh in tax. They had taxes in ancient Egypt, just like today. It's tax season right now. They take taxes out of your check every goddamn week. You understand? And you get a portion of that at the beginning of the year. You understand? They had taxes in Egypt just like they do right here in America. In Egypt, women had a great deal of freedom. They could go, they can come and go as they please. They could own property and could sign contracts. Women could also divorce their husbands. This sounds just like America. You understand? Women's rights, the feminist movement. This right here in ancient Egypt. You understand? However, most women worked in the home. There was a great deal of work to do as most homes were largely self-sufficient. The woman made the family's clothes, prepared food such as grinding grain to make flour, grinding grain to flour to make bread. Even in a rich family, the woman was kept busy organizing the slaves. That's America. You understand? A Caucasian woman back in the times of slavery, they was the ones that basically was a second overseer over the slaves. You understand? They did the same thing back in Egypt, right? There were some women doctors in Egypt. A woman called Sabakneferu ruled Egypt around 1800 BC. Later, a woman named Hatshepsut ruled Egypt. It's like 1479 to 1458 BC. Another woman, Trosret, ruled Egypt 1191 to 1189 BC. Food and farming in ancient Egypt. The staple diet of the ordinary people in Egypt was bread, or salaki, of the ordinary people in ancient Egypt was bread and beer. Now, an ordinary person in ancient Egypt, this is going to be a slave. You understand? This is not going to be the people of the land of Egypt. You understand? Not at the times of the children of Israel being in slavery. This is talking about the slaves. The slaves ate bread and beer, meaning they ate cheap food right here in America. You got brothers and sisters that live in the ghetto. We drink cheap liquor. We drink cheap water. We drink cheap juice. And what we eat? We eat sandwiches, bread. You understand? Hamburgers from McDonald's. Cheap food to sustain your family. You understand? It's happening in ancient Egypt. Because of the desert sand was often blowing, Salakia. The bread was baked outside because of the desert sand was often blowing into the dough. In time, eating bread with grains of sand and it wore down people's teeth. In ancient Egypt, as in all early civilizations, meat was a luxury and only the rich could afford to eat it frequently. The Egyptians ate sheep, pigs, cows, and goats, but meat often came from ducks and geese. However, fish was plentiful in Egypt. Hold on. Fish was plentiful in Egypt. You understand? So poor people didn't really eat meat all too often in Egypt. You understand? This was mainly for the diets day to day of the rich people. You understand? But poor people fed off of bread and beer, and fish was abundant in Egypt. You understand? The Egyptians ate many vegetables, including marrows, beans, onions, lentils, leeks, radish, garlic, and lettuces. They also ate fruit like melons, dates, and figs. All of these was being grown by slaves. You understand? Pomegranates were quite expensive and were eaten mainly by the rich. The Egyptians also grew herbs and spices, and they made cooking oil. Beer was made from crumbled barley bread and barley with water, so it was lumpy. It was stained, Salaki. It was strained before it was drunk. Even so, it was still lumpy, so it had to be drunk through a wooden straw with a filter. Better off Egyptians drank wine. So our people didn't drink wine in Egypt. We drank beer. This is like, if you look into the history of Black America, Latino, and Native Indians in this country in the 70s, the 60s, 70s, and 80s, we was drinking a whole lot of beer. It's cheap. This is why you got malt liquor being sold in the stores in our neighborhoods in the ghettos. Because poor people drink malt liquor. That's beer. You understand? Ancient Egyptian farmers dug irrigation canals to take water from the Nile when it flooded and to hold it when the flood subsided. In ancient Egypt, oxen pulled plows and farmers used simple tools such as hoes, sickles, rakes, and winnowing fans used to throw wheat into the air to separate light chaff from heavier grain. This is the same thing that we did here in America during the times of slavery. You understand? Salakia. Okay, let me get to this. Listen to this. Clothes in Egypt. Not surprisingly, given the hot climate, Egyptians wore only light clothing. Men wore a loincloth and a kind of kilt. Women wore dresses with shoulder straps. Clothes were made of linen or cotton. Later in Egyptian history, clothes became more elaborate and colorful. Listen to this. Egyptians shaved their hair and wore wigs. This is why we don't get lineups. This is why the Lord tells us don't mar the corner of your beard or the corners of your head. You understand? Because that's Egyptian culture. That's not what blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans do. That's not where we come from. We don't even have customs of cutting our hair. You understand? That's Egyptian culture. Now, of course, you know what I'm saying? When brothers lose their hair, is lawful for you to even your hair up. You understand? If you've lost your hair, you understand, due to age and things of that nature. You understand? But for the most part, uh, shaving your head or getting lineups, this is Egyptian culture. You understand? This is why the Lord calls this place spiritual Sodom and Egypt, because they do the same thing here. You understand? Reading on. Children had their heads shaved to prevent lice, although they usually had a braid left at the side of their head. It was normal for children to go naked. Most people went barefoot much of the time, but they sometimes wore sandals made of papyrus. You understand? And children going naked, that's an Egyptian culture. The Lord wants us to be covered up. You understand? That's what they was doing in ancient Egypt, because these are people that don't have righteous law, statutes, and commandments like the children of Israel. You understand? Salakia. Egyptians wore jewelry. Those who could afford it wore jewelry of gold, silver, and precious stones. Poor people wore jewelry made of copper or bronze. Both men and women wore makeup. Now, understand this, right? This is the same thing that happens in this empire today. You got rich rappers. You understand? You got people that actually have a lot of money that can be able to afford precious stones. You understand? And different type of jewelry, right? But then when you go to the ghetto, you got a lot of people not wearing the high quality jewelry. You understand? This is what was going on in ancient Egypt. You understand? The same thing that happened here in America, right? Salakia. Houses in ancient Egypt. Rich Egyptians lived in large, comfortable houses with many rooms, mansions. You understand? Walls were painted and the floors had colored tiles. Most wealthy houses had enclosed gardens with pools. Wasn't enclosed garden is like a lawn. Like you got your own grass that you cut all the damn time and you can plant stuff in there. This is a lawn. So they had big mansions with swimming pools and lawns, just like today. You understand? Inside their homes, uh, rich Egyptians had wooden furniture such as beds, chairs, tables, and chests for storage. However, instead of pillows, they used wooden headrests. Toilets considered of a clay pot. Salaki. Toilets consisted of a clay pot filled with sand. It was emptied regularly. Ordinary people in ancient Egypt, when they say ordinary people, this is talking about poor people. Ordinary people in ancient Egypt lived in simpler homes made of mud bricks with perhaps 4 rooms. Man, look, listen to this. Ordinary people lived in simple homes, right? Made of mud bricks with about 4 rooms in a home. What is a simple home that's made out of 4 bricks? I mean, not 4 bricks, that's made out of bricks. That's the projects. You understand? I'm gonna read more, right? People may have slept on the flat roof when it was hot, and they did most of their work outside because of the heat. Furniture was very basic. Ordinary Egyptians sat on brick benches around the walls. They used reed chests or wooden pegs on walls to store things. Now, watch this. Hold on. I got another article to talk about the homes in ancient Egypt. Because the homes in ancient Egypt, this gonna give you it's gonna give you more of a feel for the different type of houses depending on the social status that you had in Egypt. You understand? Houses for the poor. Those without much money often had only a one-room house. Right? This is a different article. This room was used for storage and napping during the day to escape the excessive heat. Inside the room were woven mats made of straw, perhaps a wooden stool, or even a wooden bed with string pulled across it. They used long grass and animal hair for the string. A ladder, mud brick staircase, or ramp led to the flat roof. Perhaps often people slept on the roof at night because it was cooler than the enclosed room below. Sometimes these roofs had reed canopies to create shade. All the windows and doors had reed mat coverings to help keep out the heat, dust, and flies. Oftentimes, doors were built 4 feet or so up off the ground to prevent the dust from creeping in. A ramp was used to get into the house from the outside. The single room led to an open courtyard with a wall around it. Here, people might have a vegetable garden. They cooked food on clay braziers. They spun flax into linen, and the family's stock of goats and chickens roamed the courtyard. This is the part I would want to get to. If the person lived in a city, these houses were built very close together, much like townhouses today. Now, if you a slave, right, or if you live in a poor section of a neighborhood or a poor section of a city, and you live in a place and it's considered to be a townhouse, especially in California on the West Coast, you live in the projects. You understand? A townhouse is townhouses are rows of apartments, one behind another. You understand? Stacked up like projects, and everybody lives in close quarters together, and y'all poor. This is how we lived in ancient Egypt. We lived in the projects in ancient Egypt. You understand? Oh, it was tobacco use, cocaine use, marijuana use. They used to, in ancient Egypt, brothers used to soak the lotus flower plant in beer, right? And sit in front of their buildings and sell it to each other like how brothers sell drugs in a black community today. Soaking that lotus flower plant in the beer, it would it was like some hallucination type thing. The lotus flower is an opioid, if I'm not mistaken. This is basically like the original syrup. You understand, the original promethazine and codeine, and brothers was sitting out inside and out front of their buildings selling this to each other, and everybody was getting high in ancient Egypt. You understand? Because brothers was destroyed. This is the exact same thing that happened in ancient Egypt. You understand? But Salakia, let me get back into the scriptures. The book of Exodus, chapter 1 and verse 15. And the king of Pharaoh spake to the Hebrew midwives, of which the name of the one was Shiphrah, and the name of the other Puah. Now, this is so heavy right here, right? Before I get into what this Pharaoh is about to say to these two sisters that's Hebrew midwives, I have to bring this up. There's a papyrus called a papyrus of the late Middle Kingdom. You understand? And this papyrus is sitting in a museum in Brooklyn, right? In this papyrus, they have a list of about, I want to say like 100 or something slaves, right? When you look at the description of these slaves, they call them Asiatics, right? Because if you don't know, uh, Israel, the Middle East, and in general, that's basically considered Asia. You understand? Like China, Japan, and that's not just Asia. Israel is basically considered Asia. You understand? Right? So now, and the people that come from that region are called Asiatics in some regions. You understand? They're known as Asiatics, right? So they have a group, they have a list of about 100 slaves in this book, right? About the majority of the slaves that's in this book, they are called Asiatics, right? And they are known as Shemites, or they in the book it says Semites, but we know that they are Shemites. You understand? And it has the names of these names that that you can make out Hebrew names of them in this book. You understand? In this papyrus called Papyrus of the Late Middle Kingdom in a museum in Brooklyn. Now, in this book, like I said, it has a name of Hebrew slaves in there. And one of the names in there, well, one of the names was Asher in the book. That was one of the slaves in the book. But another very important name of a slave in this book was this sister right here, Shifra. Her name is in this papyrus of the late Middle Kingdom in Brooklyn, New York. This sister right here that's named Shifra in this Bible, her name is in that papyrus list as a slave during the time where the children of Israel were slaves in ancient Egypt. She's in that book by name. Now, I just found this out today. You understand? And it shocked the hell out of me. You understand? And when I looked online to try to get that book is about $750. You understand? For you to order that book and have it on your own, that book is about $750. And I know why the book is so expensive, because it got so much information in there that is going to prove emphatically that the children of Israel were in fact slaves in ancient Egypt. You understand? Salakia. Verse 16. And he said, when ye do the office of a midwife to the Hebrew women and see them upon the stools, if it be a son, then ye shall kill him. But if it be a daughter, then she shall live. You understand? These Egyptians is taking crafty counsel again. This Planned Parenthood right here in the Bible. You understand? He's ordering these sisters to kill off of our nation by murdering our little baby boys when they come out the womb, because these Egyptians know your nation is going to grow when you have men, you understand, to raise up seed, you understand, because they understand that you are what your father is. Your nation is built by patriarchs, not matriarchs. You understand? So, Lucky, I think I got one more article I can touch on in that one real quick. And if you're curious, about uh the drug use that went on in ancient Egypt, you can look up. It's a document called the Ebers Papyrus. It's a so-called medical document, but it's basically a record showing what type of drugs that they used in ancient Egypt. And when you read what type of drugs they was using in ancient Egypt, it's the exact same drugs that blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians use right here in America. You understand? Because we have been taught this by our oppressor, because they have destroyed us, and they have destroyed us and indoctrinated us to do exactly what our slave master does, because we don't know our culture. We don't know our history. You understand? Yeah, but that document is called the Ebers Papyrus. If y'all want to look that up, I'm gonna stand down on that article. I'm gonna read on some more. So the Pharaoh ordered these sisters to kill these baby boys in order to cripple our nation and not let us thrive as a people. You understand? But the midwives feared God and did not as the king of Egypt commanded them, but saved the men children alive. So these sisters, they feared the Lord. They like, nah, man, we ain't listening to Pharaoh. You understand? We fear the Lord. So they saved the little boys. You understand? Verse 18. And the king of Egypt called for the midwives and said unto them, why have ye done this thing and have saved the men children alive? And the midwives said unto Pharaoh, because the Hebrew women are not as the Egyptian women, for they are lively and are delivered ere the midwives, and are delivered ere the midwives come in unto them. You understand? So these sisters is like, look, these Hebrew women is not like the Egyptians. They don't have to be sitting in labor for 29 hours and you know what I'm saying? Before we even get up in there, they already got the damn baby boy alive in their hand. He being breastfed already. Like she ain't finna let me take her son out of her damn hands and just kill him. You understand? They already alive before we even get in there. You understand? Verse 20. Therefore God dealt with them, so like it dealt with the midwives, and the people multiplied and waxed very mighty. And it came to pass, because the midwives feared God, that he made them houses. And Pharaoh charged all his people, saying, every son that is born, ye shall cast him into the river, and every daughter ye shall save alive. You understand? So his plan backfired to come get at the Hebrew midwives. These sisters, they feared the Lord. So when his plan backfired, Pharaoh went to drastic measures to kill off our damn nation. And that's exactly what's going on here in America. You understand? They've gone to drastic measures to actually kill off the children of Israel. You understand? They are brainwashing our sisters into believing that they actually have to murder their own child. You understand? In order to benefit themselves, to have a great career. You understand? Which killing your child, you understand, having an abortion, that's not gonna help your career at all. You understand? Because I don't know not one sister at all that had an abortion, you understand, and she went on to do great things. And the child that she had or was about to have, uh, her not having that child eventually put her in a better position in life, you understand, to where she became rich and prosperous, you understand, all because she didn't have a baby to hold her back. I don't know not one sister on planet Earth, you understand, me personally, that ever went through that, and her success is built solely off of her making the decision to abort her child. That don't happen in the ghetto. Most of the sisters in the ghetto that have abortions is sad to say, but they end up with regular jobs. They end up working at Walmart and saying being a medical assistant, doing hair, some of that nature. You understand? It's not profitable at all to kill your child. You understand? And of course, you know, we got late term abortions, meaning brothers is 21 years old walking down the street being murdered by racist police officers. You understand? Going to jail on trumped up charges and false accusations, to where they can cripple our nation in that way as well. You understand? That's that crafty counsel. You understand? And all of this comes about because the children of Israel are in servitude to a nation of people that we gravitated to, that we love, that don't give a damn about us, that the Lord sent against us because we didn't want to obey our power. You understand? The Lord worked like this. If you don't want to obey him and you want to go and live like other people, you're going to serve those other people. You are eventually going to be the prey of those other people. You're gonna be up under them other people's feet. You understand? They gonna be the head and you gonna be the tail. That's how the Lord works. You understand? Salaki. Exodus 2 and 1. Salaki, I'm gonna jump down. Jump down. So quick recap, the book of Exodus. This is talking about Moses' birth, you understand, and how the Lord had mercy on his brother's life to be able to allow him to live. Because like I just read, Moses is born in the times where these Egyptians are killing the the man child, the male baby. You understand? So by the grace and mercy of the Lord, Moses made it through that. And eventually he was adopted by the Pharaoh at that time, his daughter. So he actually grew up in the house of Pharaoh. You understand? He didn't grow up in the hood with all his brothers. You understand? All his sisters, his physical family. He grew up in the child of Pharaoh, but he was raised around them until about a certain age because his mother actually was paid to raise him up. You understand? Salakia. This is the book of Exodus, chapter 2 and verse 11. And it came to pass in those days when Moses was grown that he went out unto his brethren and looked on their burdens, and he spied an Egyptian smiting a Hebrew, one of his brethren. So when Moses grew up, you understand, he became a grown man. He went to go check on the children of Israel. He went to go see what's really going on with my nation, what's really happening with my people. You understand? And when he came to where his people lived at, when he came to the ghetto, when he came to the barrio, the reservation, when he came to the hood, he seen something that disturbed him. You understand? He seen an Egyptian smiting a Hebrew. You understand? This is police brutality. You understand? This is what Moses is witnessing. You understand? This is the Egyptian PD. You understand? If you know anything about the history of police, this is where it comes from, ancient Egypt. You understand? And back in ancient Egypt, you had neighborhoods of all Israelites. And in some certain parts of these neighborhoods, it would be one big house. And this big house would be the Egyptian officer or the Egyptian that had dominion over that region to make sure the Hebrews stayed in line. You understand? And this is where you get your police headquarters from in all of these ghettos. You understand? Or your substations. This is the same thing. You'll be in a ghetto, then you'll come to some main street and see a big old police building with a whole lot of police officers. You understand? And they go in and out on patrol, making sure that they keep the neighborhood intact, that they keep the neighborhood in check. Well, this came from ancient Egypt. You understand? So this Egyptian is most likely one of these Egyptian officers that was basically patrolling the neighborhood, keeping these Israelites in check. You understand? Verse 12. And he looked this way and that way. And when he saw that there was no man, he slew the Egyptian and hid him in the sand. You understand? So Moses, he seen the Egyptian, you know what I'm saying, beating on one of his brethren. And what Moses did, Moses retaliated. You understand? He killed that Egyptian and hid him in the sand. You understand? Verse 13. And when he went out the second day, behold, two men of the Hebrews strove together. And he said to him that did the wrong, wherefore smitest thou thy fellow? You understand? Moses, he came out the next day and seen two brothers fighting against each other. He was like, man, look, bro, like, why is you doing this to your brother, man? We brothers. Like, what's going on with you, man? You tripping, right? Verse 14. And he said, who made thee a prince and a judge over us? Intendest thou to kill me as thou killest the Egyptian? And Moses feared and said, surely this thing is known. So this brother, he was like, nigga, who made you a prince and a ruler over us? Meaning, bro, we ain't trying to hear none of that. Like, why is you in our business? You understand? What you gonna do? Kill me like how you killed the Egyptian? So Moses hearing what he said, he thinking to himself, like, damn, if y'all know, then everybody know this. This is going around. You understand? So Moses, he was scared. You understand? Salaki. Verse 15. Now, when Pharaoh heard this thing, he sought to slay Moses, but Moses fled from the face of Pharaoh and dwelt in the land of Midian, and he sat down by a well. Understand? Pharaoh heard what Moses did to this Egyptian. You understand? So Pharaoh, he put a warrant out for his arrest so he can get killed. You understand? He like, man, look, I'm finna kill this dude, Moses, whenever we catch him. You understand? And Moses fled. You understand? Moses went on the run. That's exactly what happens right here in this captivity as well. You understand? Brother might commit a crime. You understand? And you know the police looking for you. Now you got to go on the run. Now you got to get up out of there. You got to lay low. You know what I'm saying? That's exactly what happened with Moses. You understand? Because Moses was a part of a people that was in captivity to another nation of people. You understand? That was oppressing them. You understand? With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and end it. Y'all by Shimmy Al Shah rock a thumb to the brothers. Y'all Shamar Lathan by Shimmy Al Shah to the sisters. Make sure y'all tune in tomorrow night for the Tuesday night brotherhood class with myself, Priest Officer Karan Yala. You understand? The Wednesday night law class with Priest Officer 500 Natazab. The Dropping Jewels podcast directly after that class. Make sure y'all tune in this Thursday for General Mahaiman falling on Northern California. You understand? He gonna be teaching a fire Thursday scripture breakdown class out here in Northern California for the first time. So make sure y'all tune in the class. Have y'all questions on deck? You understand? And it's gonna be an epic one for Northern California. With that being said, shalom, Israel.